Hello everybody, this video is entitled Black Swan, ? Epic Crash. Here we go again, because here we go again. Of course, today being the biggest single day market crash since October, since you remember 10/10, that was also because of tariffs. The 2020s are an awful investing decade. I called this last year. The awful investing decade continues. Surviving the 2020s is kind of our only job, and in the 2030s, if we survive the 2020s as individual investors, we will be regarded as gurus. That's kind of my take on this. So is it a black swan? Black swan sure feels like a black swan, but then again, I don't really know what a black swan is anymore, because we have one of those twice a year now. Totally ridiculous. Everything goes to one. Correlation goes to one. Everything drops together. Sure, you can find the random stock who doesn't drop, but in general, just about everything goes down together, and it makes absolutely no sense. And this is very annoying for somebody who tries to do fundamental analysis. This afternoon, I wanted to do fundamental analysis on Duolingo. I listened to their entire conference calls, like 3 of them. I'm ready to do a full analysis of Duolingo. I'm liking that stock. I want to cover it for the channel, do an in-depth analysis. I can't do that because of this nonsense action. This is entirely ridiculous. This is upsetting. You'll find that most of the stocks that crashed are absolutely unimpacted by this news. This is just the money flows. This is just, we're selling US stocks, sell US stocks. For example, Tesla. How is Tesla impacted by this news? Tesla sells cars made in Europe for the European cars, made in China for the Chinese cars, made in the US for the US cars, and even Tesla over the weekend had a catalyst because they're going to be able to flood Canada with Chinese-made cars with no tariffs. Like we got great news for Tesla. Of course, it's down 4%. Semis. Why are all of the semis down, right? They're only down because they're the top of the index. That's the only reason why they're down. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think Taiwan owns Greenland. Most of these semis derive their revenue from the shipments, right? From the manufacturing of goods in Taiwan to the rest of the world. Like, that's not threatened at all by tariffs. There's no tariff between EU and the US. Like, this is not impacted. Yes, they all drop like 5%. It's ridiculous, right? Same for Apple. Apple products made in China, right? Shenzhen, north of Hong Kong. They make the product there. Okay, they have huge factories there. China's got nothing to do with this. In fact, over the weekend, one of the leaders of China, I don't know which minister came out, but they literally came out and made a speech and said, we don't want Greenland. And I understand, why would China want Greenland? Like, of course China doesn't want Greenland. It's super far. It's like a piece of ice cube, whatever. So it's entire nonsense. And the nonsense continues, and the companies just get punished unfairly just because they have a higher beta and they're more volatile, and so the index sells off, and so these components of the index which are more volatile sell off more. This is just one of the random watch lists that I have. If you can see, if you average it out, it's something like down 6 or 7%. So if you have a stock of hyper growth stocks right now, you're probably down 8%. Are you liking the pain? Pain because of this total nonsense. Like, how is HIMS impacted? How is HIMS impacted by this, right? They have entirely separate operations. How is MSTR? MSTR and Bitcoin and crypto should be the least impacted by this. This is not about them. Nebius is the same way. It's data centers built in the EU, built in the United States. Huge demand, not impacted. Mara, not impacted. Yet all of these stocks bathe in blood right now because of this absolute nonsense, which we seem to get 2x per year, twice a year. Short term, unfortunately, I think we need to redefine when we call ourselves long-term investors. Being a long-term investor in the 2020s is a 5-year hold. Like being a long-term investor in the 2020s is kind of like Bitcoin. You still have stocks out there who are still trading at the same levels they were in 2021. Who have done nothing for 5 years. That's a 5-year-old minimum nowadays for stocks. And this is very unfortunate because it didn't used to be this way. I invested throughout the 2010s. The 2010s were so cozy. The 2020s much more similar to the 2000s. Imagine the 2000s. You had to deal with the dot-com crash. You had to deal with 9/11. You had to deal with 06, 07, 08. The bankruptcies of the car companies, the Fannie Mae bankruptcy, the mortgage collapse. The 2020s, in my view, similar to the 2000s. It's very unfortunate because often we get 2 good decades. We didn't get 2 good decades. So let's make it until the 2030s. And by the way, I want to say this. Stocks are traded out of basket, of course. I think Jack Bogle gets a major part of that blame, pushing for indexing, which removes all sorts of price discovery. If you look at CleanSpark is my best example. So CleanSpark, the stock was not doing well. Everybody blamed the CEO. CleanSpark changes the CEO, puts a new CEO in, the stock doubles, right? And then the stock is right back to where it was when the former CEO was in power. It's as though CEOs over the short term, i.e. over like less than 5 years, they have literally no impact on their stock price. This is the market that we're in. Makes me believe for CleanSpark, the former CEO got fired for no reason, right? It's entirely pointless because the stock is not moving based on the strategic actions in the short term. It's entirely moving based on your beta and how correlated you are to the whole market. Anyways, this is complete nonsense. Now let's talk about the actual news. And this is where it makes even less sense because, frankly, none of this is a surprise anymore. Trump had been talking about Greenland since 2016. Like when he got elected, more than a year ago, I remember making a video saying I'm staying out of Denmark companies because it was well documented that he wanted Greenland. Like everybody knows this. And by the way, it's been a thing for a long time that the US wanted Greenland. But what's even more frustrating about this drop is that everybody knows the playbook. So let me tell you the Trump playbook in case you don't know, but of course you know the playbook. We've seen it play over and over and over again. It's always the same thing. He's a very transactional person. Transactional is good in this situation because it makes it predictable. So what's going to happen, right? Trump playbook, what is it? Step 1, spook the world with a bold ask or a bold threat. Oh, out of the blue, I announce up to 25% tariff in June if Denmark does not consider my offer to buy to seize Denmark or whatever. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is leave a few days or maybe a week for people to digest the news. Confusion ensues, and if you watch European news, lots of confusion, lots of disagreements. There's plenty of disagreements. The Italians didn't get the tariffs, but they seem to agree with the Europeans that there should be no tariff. Then I think you have Viktor Orban, who's like, this is none of our business. We want nothing to do with this. So the EU is not entirely united, right? Then you had Macron in like some sort of a sports. Like, what was that speech? What was that? I have no idea what that was. Anyways, it's entirely crazy. So confusion. We're in the confusion space, right? This is the confusion time right now. So everybody's confused. Then what's step 3? We've seen it over and over again. Come back. So Trump, step 3, will come back with a much more reasonable offer. And my guess is that it's going to be something like this, right? So you spook, you create turmoil, and then you come back with another tweet and you say something much more sensible, much more reasonable. So I think the next step, we're going to be at step 3 in a few days, which is going to be something that Trump says. And I think it's going to be something like this. It's, I have decided to suspend my additional tariff for 6 months so that Denmark can consider our best and wonderful offer. And from what I saw, some leaks, the offer could be $700 billion in cash. That could be the offer from Greenland. Plus, I've also seen something like $1 million per resident of Greenland. I have no idea what the offer is going to be, but I think the tariffs will be suspended, and there will be a large amount of time with a reasonable offer. That's step 3, and then step 4. Sometimes he wins. I mean, with Europe, he's won with the 15% tariff. You remember that whole thing in April, right? He won one time in Europe. So if you were to look at the likely outcome, he's likely going to win again. But because he won before, right? And because we know there's not a lot of negotiating going on over there. So I mean, you saw Ursula von der Leyen. I don't know how the French are going to compete against Argentinian beef. I have no idea how Argentinian goods in Europe. Argentinian food is very, very good, by the way. I like it very much. We have a lot of it in the USA. I don't know how European agriculture is not going to be flooded with a European thing, but they signed a free trade agreement, right? That's kind of like the European concern. They signed that free trade agreement. I don't know what to tell you. It's like, so maybe Trump's going to win this. I have no idea. Other times he doesn't. And if he doesn't win, he doesn't have a problem not winning. If he doesn't win, then he's just going to collect the tariffs. So and he's going to collect 25% additional tariff, which would like bump it for Europe from 15 to 40%. So what can I say? And I guess that's what's going to happen, or something like that. The U.S. is in a very good negotiating position, I have origins in both countries now. I mean, my country is America now, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's like the U.S. has a lot of cards here, and of course there is a wild card, which is Europe could tax U.S. goods. But I saw a speech from Orban saying that he would like oppose it, or like there would be a veto or something like that. So the point I'm trying to make is that in Europe, there's no getting along. They don't get along. People don't get along over there. Like, and perhaps the last thing the EU want to do is, with German cars, there's a lot of German cars sold in the US. So Germany has a lot of power, and Germany wants to keep selling the cars to the US. So it's a mess, but it's a structured mess. That makes sense. It's a structured mess. Step 3 is coming, and step 3 is going to be a much more reasonable offer from Trump. That's what he's done all the time. He spooks with something crazy, lets people digest the news, then comes back with something more reasonable. And then we wait, and we keep waiting. And my guess is that until 2029, we will have these ups and downs, geopolitics ups and downs, especially with a return of the Monroe Doctrine and, the USA treating America as a bloc, right? It's part of a new US doctrine. They look at it as a bloc. They say, oh, it's ours, America is ours. That's how we can explain what happened in Venezuela. That's how you can explain what happened in Greenland, which Greenland is, on the US side. That's how you can explain some of the stuff in Alberta. Like, I read things like Alberta could be next. So anyways, I don't know what to tell you. We don't control this. This is the world we're given. We don't control this. Just like people in 2008 didn't control the crash, right? People in 2008 didn't control the bailout. People in 2008, in the 2000, they didn't control the dot-com crash. We don't control this. We just have to make the best of it. And Trump, because he's transactional, we have a playbook which is like, okay, he's your enemy, but if you make a deal, he's going to be your friend again. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a geopolitical expert. I know that this sucks for stocks because a lot of these companies are doing everything right and they get punished unfairly, even though they do everything right. So anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice, not geopolitical advice. This is only entertainment. Hoping you were entertained, even though today was not entertaining as a day in general. But this is entertainment. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.